What's up guys, it's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm back at it again bringing you 40 facts on the Warhammer 40k universe. Now if you can't tell already, I am in the clasp of Nurgle's hand. I am sick. So I'm trying to give you these 40 facts, even though I may lose my voice after, during, who knows. But I do believe that the Emperor protects. So with that in mind, here are 40 facts on Nurgle's plague colony and his blessings. The Plague Colony. Warbands of Plague Marines are often found organized in a squad of 7, banded together into groups of 7 squads. An echo of the Death Guard Legion organizational model at its height. 7 also happens to be the sacred number of the Legion's patron power, and they also believe that by forming themselves in multitudes of that number, they can carry the favor of their chaos god, Nurgle. Whether this organization draws the attention and sorcerer's blessings of the plague god or not, the manner in which the Plague Marines carried themselves to war still reflects the hand of Mortarion, the grim Primarch who forged them, shaped them, and led them to their damnation. The Plague Marines revel in contamination of Imperial worlds, sowing pestilence and contagion wherever they go, and inflicting cruel and agonizing deaths on a planetary scale. Now if you wish to receive more lore on Mortarion, the Primarch of the Death Guard, be sure to go to our 40 facts on him. And now, let us descend onto the disciplines of Nurgle's psychic abilities, beginning with Nurgle's Rot. Gurgling praise to Father Nurgle, the Psyker selflessly excludes a disgusting wave of soul pox. All those nearby are covered in a layer of toxic goo, so foul it can kill in mere seconds. The Weapon Virus. The Psyker invokes the generosity of his patron, infesting his foe's weaponry with viral decay, essentially making their weapons all but useless. Fleshy Abundance. Nurgle's bountiful energies surge through the target, and the deep wounds that score their flanks begin to secrete foul fluids that thicken and harden upon contact with the air. By the time the Psyker's power has run its course, the target's injuries are nowhere to be seen, hidden beneath the swollen folds of new fleshy growths. The Blades of Putrefaction. As the Psyker draws forth more of Grandfather Nurgle's power from the warp, the blades of his allies begin to rust and secrete foul, pus-like fluids, the stench alone which bears the promise of disease. The Curse of the Leper. The victims of his curse find themselves weakened and drained by its enervating touch, yet those that bear Nurgle's favor are instead granted with new strength by the ravenous energies coursing through their bloated bodies. Plague Wind. The Psyker belches forth a wind of plague that blows through his foes, essentially killing them ever so slowly. The Gift of Contagion. The Psyker gathers clouds of contagion and rot flies about his enemies, granting them Father Nurgle's blessing. The Stream of Corruption. The Psyker's jaw opens inhumanly wide, spewing forth a stream of disease and noxious gas. The Miasma of Pestilence. The Psyker surrounds himself with a sickly odor that incapacitates any and all nearby foes. Rancid Visitations. The Psyker reaches out his hand and laughs, engulfing his enemies in an extremely contagious infection that rots all their organs. Nausea. This spell invokes nausea and disorientation in others, weakening their ability to fight back. The Dance of Nurgle. The sorcerer temporarily gains control of his enemies' minds, causing them to reveal themselves for an attack. Now that we know a little bit more about the psychic abilities of Nurgle, let us read more about who he is and where he comes from. Of all the 4 gods of chaos, Nurgle is said to be the oldest and the most involved with the plight of mortals. Those afflicted by his contagions often turn to him in order to escape their suffering. The likeliness of Nurgle is described to be a gigantic and bloated figure with corruption and foul-colored, leathery, necrotic skin. Nurgle's source of power is said to be the living fear of the inevitable death and disease, and their unconscious response to that fear, which is the power of life. This is the motivating power of mankind and all other races which feed into Nurgle. The Garden of Nurgle. This wholesome realm is home to every pox and affliction imaginable, and is alive with the stench of rot. This garden is not a barren wasteland, but rather a paradise of death and pestilence. A thick sheet of buzzing swarms of black furry flies litter the sky, and twisted rotten boughs entangle with gasping vines that cover the moldering ground, beneath an insect-ravaged canopy of leaves. Muddy rivers slither across the bloated landscape. Nurgle's mansion of rotted timbers and broken walls reside at the heart of the garden, decrepit and ancient, yet eternally strong at its foundations. It is within these tumbling walls that Nurgle toils at his cauldron, a receptacle vast enough to contain all the oceans of the worlds of the galaxy. Nurgle keeps the Eldar goddess of healing, Isha, trapped in a cage in his Garden of Nurgle. Here, Isha can cure herself of any of Nurgle's diseases. Nurgle then takes advantage of this by force-feeding her his latest creation, and sees how long it takes the goddess to overcome its ill effects. If he is pleased, he releases it upon some unsuspecting world in the material universe. While Nurgle is busy creating some foul pox to release, Isha takes advantage of this distraction and instructs mortals on how to rid themselves of Nurgle's plagues. When Nurgle's power waxes, the garden blooms, encroaching on the lands of other chaotic gods. Nurgle's enemies would fight back, and the plague bearers would have to take arms and defend it. However, the garden will recede again, and it would simply still have fed deeply on the essence of those who have fallen in such wars, and it will once again gestate peace until it is ready to bloom once more. This is the paradoxical creed of Nurgle. Though he is the creator of every infection and epidemic to have ever swept the universe, Nurgle is not a morose purveyor of despair and gloom, but he is a vibrant god of life and laughter. In death there is life. Upon the decay of the living untold numbers of bacteria, viruses, insects, and other carrion feeders thrive. All life feeds upon other life to exist, and from every plague grows new generations, stronger and better suited to their environment than before. Regeneration comes from decay, just as hope springs from despair. The greatest of inspiration comes from the darkest of moments. In times of crisis, mortals are truly tested and driven to excel. To finish off this video, here's a little excerpt on a very unfortunate tale surrounding the world of Santia. The infected orc warbands invading the ecclesiarchy world of Santia invoke a terrible new barbarism. These Nurgle-infested orcs fall upon the planet's defenders and consume them body and soul, devouring the living and the dead alike, as if compelled by a demonic hunger. Bloated and swelling, the orcs become obese monstrosities that can move at only a snail's pace. Puzzled by this strange reprieve, the Adepta Sororitas systematically purge the orcs with flame and bolter. It is then that Mortarion and his Death Guard make planetfall. The skeletally thin demonic Primarch looms over the bodies of the orcs as he stalks to the front lines. At his passing, each orc bursts apart in a shower of foul fluids, and dozens of Nurglings spill out from within their remains to follow their new master. Santia falls to the Green Death within 20 hours of Mortarion's arrival, and the plague spreads across the ecclesiarchy-held system at an unstoppable pace. And with that, we are at the end of yet another 40 Facts video. Let me know what you thought about Nurgle his gifts, and what he did to the planet of Santia. I, for one, love the fact of having these Nurgle-infested orcs. That just sounds amazing. Now, the other thing is, do you guys know of any other race that has been infected by chaos? So, for example, maybe some Corn Tau? Yeah, I would have never thought I'd be saying that. So let me know in the comments down below, and we'll try and do some research on it. And that's all I have for you guys. Thank you for being awesome subscribers. Don't forget, we do have Patreon, and we do have an art contest going on, which ends at the end of this month. And with that, I am the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I am signing out.